behind the steer. Nowadays they're at least 3 feet to the left. So when I rope a dummy, I'll take a step to the left with 3 feet and a step back 3 feet. That's what I call my sweet spot right there. That's where I want to rope from. Okay? Okay, so I got a question for this group right here. Okay? Those don't count. Okay, and I got a prize I'm gonna give away. Dee, look in one of those tubs and see if you find the lanyard in there. Okay? You gotta raise your hand if you know the question, know the answer to this question. If I'm roping, what lead should I be in? Okay? Let's go with the young lady.
Left lead.
Left lead, right. Okay, so we're gonna have you a lanyard right here in just a second. So that you look at this, if you're on a horse and you're in the right lead, your right foot's forward, your right shoulder's forward. If I'm throwing a baseball or rock, I don't throw it like this, I throw it like this, with my left foot forward and my right shoulder back. That's the same way you wanna be roping from, okay? So once I get my position right, so I wanna have my left foot forward when I'm roping. Okay, now, the 4 things we're gonna work on is position, swing, target, and delivery. Okay, so once I get my position right, I'm in position right here. Okay, so when I'm holding my rope, the long part of the rope right here, and I just did this, I usually don't go through this part of it, but yesterday I was in a school in Boise, Idaho, and there's a lady that's been to probably 10 schools. She's probably 65 years old. That young lady right there in the gray t-shirt gets one of those. So this lady right here, she held her rope wrong. And how I mean by wrong was she held it so the long part of the rope was here instead of crossing over in her hand. Okay? So if the wrong part, if this part's like this, if you ever learn to feed your rope and you go to feed your rope, this will happen. You'll lose your spoke. Okay? You ever done that? Yeah, me too. I've had that happen a lot. So you want to make sure when you're holding your rope, the long part of the rope goes to the inside of your hand right here, and it crosses over right there. Okay? Okay. So now I hold my rope right. So people say, well, do you rope both horns at the same time or do you rope right to left? I do both. How I look at roping is like having a toolbox. Okay? I don't want just a pair of pliers in there. I want a pair of pliers, a crescent wrench, a socket. So if I'm roping right to left, if I'm roping both horns at the same time, I'm roping right to left, my hand's out here beside me more. So my swing's out here beside me. So to make a perfect swing, my swing goes from right side up to upside down. Okay? Then it goes right over my head. I see a lot of people, and I don't see it here as much, especially if you're a kid. You guys don't have a chance because these kids growing up with a rope in their hand this age. Hopefully here pretty soon I won't have to compete against them no more. I'm too old. But so the perfect swing is right here like this. Get it turned over. Your rope's got to turn over outside the farthest right thing you're throwing at. So this right horn right here, my loop has to turn over upside down outside that horn. So to make a perfect swing, I want to make sure if there's an imaginary clock in front of me, 12 o'clock is straight up. I want to turn my loop upside down at 2 o'clock. Okay? So I want to have my swing out here beside me, right here like this. So it's turned over outside here. Then I bring it back to right side up to throw it. So once I get my swing, my first swing is just like my last swing. So I see a lot of people back in the box, especially headers, go back in the box and they're just like this. Okay? First thing, you guys all know who Trevor Brazil is? Okay? He backs in the box at the national finals in the calf roping when he broke the arena record. His rope was underneath his arm, his hand was on the horn. If it's good enough for Trevor Brazil, it's probably good enough for all of us. I see a lot of people back in the box, and they back the box like this, and the first thing that they take off, the horse jumps forward, and they pull on the reins and balance themselves, and the rope goes right straight up in the air. I think practice makes perfect if I practice perfect. So I practice with my rope underneath my arm, start right here like this. My first swing is just like my last swing. So as I bring it from here, I bring my rope back, I turn it over at 2 o'clock, and my swing is pointed right up over top of whatever I'm throwing at. Okay, so once I get up here and get in position, come out of my swing right to my throw. So I'm roping right to left. So I have my swing out here beside me, come across the horns. My bottom fence is underneath the right horn, my top fence goes over my left. Okay, now the quickest way to build your loop after you rope the dummy like this is take this part in your left hand, put it in your left hand, make a big circle, reach down, get a hold of the, right behind the knot, bring it back, put these two strands together, your loop's the same size every time. That way you can get the most out of your practice session, okay? So, once I get in position, my swing's right here, my target. So if I'm roping right to left, I'm looking at the base of the right horn and the tip of the left. Come across the horns. Now, if I'm roping both horns same time, my hand's a little closer to my head, and I'm roping more towards the center, more towards the buckle on your horn wrap. Okay? So once I get my rope here like this, bring my swing up, get it turned over, and a lot of it is balancing your loop. Okay, so your spoke, everybody knows what your spoke is. Spoke is from your handhold to your hondu. That's your spoke. So if you feed your rope, I'll start out with about 3 feet between my hands before I feed it. But once I feed my rope, the rope between my two hands is the same length as my spoke. Okay? So these two pieces of rope should be the same as this piece of rope between my two hands. So when I feed my rope right here like this, once I get done feeding it, these 3 strands are all the same. And the reason for that, it balances your loop. Plus, if you have too much rope between your two hands, watch where my slack is when I throw it. See how far my slack's from my hand? Okay, now watch. When I feed my rope and get my hands close together where they're supposed to be, now watch where my slack is. Right here. Makes it easier to get your slack. If you have too much rope between your two hands, a lot of times you'll miss your slack. 2 things will cause you to wave off the steer's horns. And this will all happen to you sooner or later if you rope very much. If you get too close behind the steer, or if you pull your slack with your thumb up. Okay? Now, when I was a kid growing up, I went to school, Jimmy Rodriguez school. He told me to pull my slack down by my knee with my thumb up. Well, if you think about it, once I throw my loop on the steer's horns, it comes around here like this, and my loop curls, if I follow through correct. Now, if I grab my rope like this, and I roll my thumb up, it takes the curl out of my loop. Okay? Now, I grab my slack and put my thumb down, it keeps the curl in your loop and it keeps you from waving off the horns. Okay? Those are the 2 things that really cause you to wave